Hi guys, it's Savannah. For the longest time, I've been wondering what is the perfect first video to put out to start my YouTube channel because I am a bit of a perfectionist, but I'm trying to overcome that this year. So yesterday, I'd gotten a comment on my TikTok of someone asking, how did you get started? Like not like, how did you start TikTok shop, but how did you start making money online in general? What is the story? And I tried to film a video on TikTok kind of explaining it, and the video ended up being 20 minutes long, so I thought, let me just make a YouTube video. Let me make a long, raw, just talking to the camera video of me telling you how I got from point A, being 17 years old, graduated early, no plan, didn't go to college, only working little waitressing jobs, to now 20 years old, making money online full time, having had made hundreds of thousands of dollars, and gone through so many business models in the process of getting to where I'm at now. So this is a story of how I started making money online from A to Z. So I graduated high school early in August of 2022. This was 2 months after I turned 17 years old. Now, to give some context to that, when I was in high school, I did not have any aspirations or plans to go to college or to have a career. There was not a single thought in my mind of like, I know what I want to do after high school. I was not someone who intrinsically was entrepreneurial, so I wasn't in school like thinking about the different businesses I wanted to start it or thinking about the way I wanted to dominate the world. That was not me. I was obsessed with making money though. I was a complete workaholic. I started working jobs when I was 14 or a bit earlier, but like real jobs at 14. I was nannying every single weekend from sunup to sundown to make like $400 a month. And then when I started high school, I was selling clothes in high school. I was tutoring before I could work a real job. And then COVID came around, turned 15, and I got my first real job. It was me working illegally, back-to-back 11-hour shifts. And I was a server, and I loved it. I was completely obsessed. I did that for a good amount of time, and I just stacked up as much money as I could, and then I bought myself my first car. Doesn't end there. I just kept working so much. I just wanted to say that to kind of highlight how much I loved working. I loved the idea of making money and just being able to take care of myself and provide for myself, and just the freedom that came from that. So all throughout high school, even when I went back, I was just a workaholic, working 3 jobs at a time, working as much as I possibly could until I was 17 years old. I was a junior in high school, or I was 16 at the time, and I decided I just wanted to graduate early. But I didn't have any passion behind wanting to create this well thought out career. Like I didn't want to go to college. I was really terrified of going into debt, and I hated the idea of doing something I was unsure of. I did not want to be the type of person who just goes to college, gets 100 grand in debt or more just to say, oh, like I don't really want to do this. I don't really want to keep pursuing this career. That to me was more terrifying than not knowing what I wanted to do. So I graduated early in August of 2022, and from 2022 August to December of that year, all I did was work. So I had 3 jobs. I was just working those all the time. And then January of 2023, within the first 2 days of January, I was scrolling my For You page and I learned about something called UGC. I saw one TikTok, went down a rabbit hole. This is essentially where you create content for brands and then they run it on their social media. And I was like, this is so cool. I want to do this. And something I can really accredit a lot of my success to now is my genuine lack of awareness back then. Like I didn't have a reason to doubt myself because I'd never done anything. I was just like, this is super cool. I can probably make this work. I want to do this. And that exact same day, I started. I made my first UGC video that day, which maybe I'll edit in a clip of that. I'm gonna do that because
If you struggle with hormonal or cystic acne, you should try out La Roche-Posay.
it was so bad. Like it was horrible. But something I actually wrote down today that is applicable to this now is the imperfect action that you take breeds better results than the calculated stuff. And I stand by that, I really do, because that first video lets me making another bad one the next day and another bad one the next day. And this turned into me spending all of January trapping myself in my room, learning how to get really freaking good at UGC. So from January to February, I was still working my full-time job as a server at a little Vietnamese restaurant. I've been working there for the past 2 years. I was basically a manager there at that point, but I would spend every other ounce of my free time that I had learning how to get really good at UGC. So I was filming as many videos as I could to build up my portfolio. I was reaching out to as many brands as I could to try to pitch myself. I was taking as many free collaborations as I could to just get some experience and put myself out there. I was pushing myself as much as I could to just try to get really, really good at this skill. And then in March, I decided I wanted to take things a lot more seriously. Like I really wanted to make what I was doing work. So I decided I needed some more pressure in my life. I felt too comfortable still going to my job every single day, knowing I had a guaranteed paycheck no matter how little it was. So I decided to quit my job. And so I did that in March of 2023. This was 3 months into me trying to start making money online. Now for the next 3 months, I was obsessed. I was so freaking obsessed. You could not have found a way to pry me out of my bedroom. It was extensive. I would spend all day long at my computer. I would do nothing that didn't include bettering myself. I was reading Discipline is Destiny by Ryan Holiday, trying to increase my discipline. I was trying to override all of my limiting beliefs by reading the 4 Agreements and just any book I could get my hand on that involved just self-improvement. So this initial 6 months wasn't just a pursuit of trying to make money and trying to get good at this skill, but it was also a pursuit of bettering myself and equally becoming the person who was even deserving to accomplish these things I was striving for. I was not the most confident when I was younger. I didn't have any reason to believe I could make money on social media because I'd never done anything with social media before, but I decided that I needed to make it work. And because I made that the only option, it was the only option. And by putting more pressure in my life, by saying I'm not going to work another job, I'm not going to give myself a second option, I'm not going to give myself anything to fall back on, it became my sole focus, and I was completely obsessed with making it work. But even beyond all of this driving, for the first 6 months, I did not make a single dollar. It wasn't until June of 2023 that I made my first $147 online. This was a month after I turned 18. And let me just tell you, I remember this feeling to this day. There's not a single thing that can top the feeling of making your first $100 online. It feels surreal. It was for the stupidest little brand I was creating content for. It was like a little plant light, but I was so excited. I was like, this right here is just proof. It's proof of concept, maybe on a minuscule level, but this is proof that what I'm doing is working and it's only gonna get better. And it only did get better because the next month it compounded and it 8x. I made $800 that month and I was like, what the heck? Like, I'm really making money now. The next month, August, I made $2,225. My first $1,000 online. What the heck? I was so just like ecstatic. Like, how is this possible? I'm freaking rich. Like, I was freaking out. And I still remember the collab that allowed me to make that money to this day. It's so funny. I was creating content for a mulch glue brand. So every single day I'd go out and I'd film myself spraying the mulch in the neighborhood with glue. It was so ridiculous. I cannot believe I did that, but I was really just taking anything I could because I wanted to make it work so badly. Beyond that, I also started doing social media management the same month. So I was running another woman's social media page who had this business for like nootropic gummies or something. I was in the trenches taking every single opportunity I could possibly get. And that was great. But then in September, I made $500 and I was like, oh my gosh, this is not sustainable whatsoever. This kind of sucks. I still knew it's going to work. Like, I'm still showing up every single day. I'm putting in the work. But I felt at this point that now, what was it, 9 months in, I'm like, I need more pressure. Like, doing this and relying only on myself is not enough. Like, I need more pressure. So I decided I was going to get a full-time job, a 9-to-5 job. And I was 18 then, so I could actually get a good job. I started working at a military call center. And so I was going there at like 6 a.m. every single morning and then getting off at 4 p.m., I don't know, regular 9 to 5. So I thought that now with this more rigid schedule in my life, I'd be forced to make better use of the time that I was giving myself outside of work. So it felt like so much more pressure and just gave me so much more urgency to take what I was doing seriously. Which to this day, another thing I can really accredit a lot of my success to is understanding how my brain works. When you understand how your brain thinks and the things that you need to force your goals into existence, there is no way that you can't achieve them. I knew I was the type of person who needed pressure, who needed to push myself to my limits, who couldn't just sit there and have a backup plan, or who couldn't sit there and feel like I had all the time in my hands. I needed something that gave me urgency. And so what I did was I worked around the way my brain thought. I knew back then, and to this day I still know, if I can force myself into specific boxes, I know how I can get out of them. So even just a little life lesson, if you're watching this now and you're in the same position that I was in back then, maybe you're not seeing any results or just not seeing them in the speed in which you want to see them, the key to success is learning how to outsmart your brain. All of us have different limitations. We have different really bad subconscious beliefs that hold us back in different aspects, but we also all have different triggers that motivate us in different ways. Some people, the fear of missing out, FOMO, really triggers them. Some people, the fear of not living up to the fullest potential really triggers them. For some people, external pressure really motivates them. It doesn't matter what it is. Every single person has different triggers. If you can learn how to activate the triggers yourself, you can push yourself to achieve your goals so much faster than you'd be able to ever expect. effect. So for me, a really big trigger was learning how to create external pressure. I knew this would motivate me. So things like quitting my job or then getting another job that forces me to use my time more wisely, these things really motivated me to take my goals more seriously because it gave me urgency. So all of that being said, I know myself. So I knew this was going to work, and it did work because the next month I was back to 4 figures a month, and I had just landed my best and biggest clients yet. These were not baby brands or random dropship products. These were established brands who had really big ad budgets. So I knew if I made really good content and they're putting a lot of money behind it and I got them really good results, I would be able to have really good case studies. And I did exactly that, which leads me to November of 2023, the month that actually changed my life, because I wasn't just doing UGC anymore. I was now pivoting to 2 other business models, which I was doing all 3 at once, but introducing 2 new business models, one creative strategy and one organic marketing. Very similar, but very different. Creative strategy is where I was writing the ads for brands. I was running campaigns with their little creator groups, and I was editing content for them to go run as ads. And then also organic marketing, which is similar to UGC, but I was posting all the content myself on a TikTok page. And then anytime someone was interested in the product, I went viral or something, they'd buy it from the link in my bio. With UGC, creative strategy, and now organic marketing, I made $6,000 that month, and I was just baffled. What do you mean? Because including my 9 to 5 job that I was now working, I had hit my first 10K income month. Mind you, this was 11 months from when I first started trying to make money online. It took me 6 months to see results, which was just $100. And then from there, 6 to 11, everything started to compound like crazy. All in all, in my first year of trying to make money online, I made $13,000. And just to put it into perspective, guys, if you're watching this right now, you're probably familiar with people who make money online. You see it a lot online. Even like now on social media, it's a lot more common. In 2023, it wasn't as common. It gets more common each year. Back then, it wasn't as common, especially when you're 18 years old or freshly 18. So to me, I feel like I was on top of the world. I felt so accomplished. I was still super hungry because I knew there was so much more I could do. But I was just so proud of myself. In 1 year, I was able to spawn $13,000 out of thin air off my phone. And every single sacrifice that I made, the isolation, the countless nights I stayed up till 2 a.m. editing TikToks, all the time I spent my lunch breaks at work editing TikToks and posting them, were all worth it. I actually said in my little free girls community today for TikTok shop that I was 17 when I first started trying to make money online. I went 5 months without seeing $1. Month 6, I made $100. I was working sun up to sundown. There wasn't a second I stopped working. August of 2023, I started working a 9 to 5 at a call center, and that was the same month I made my first 2K online. If you're upset you're not seeing results, suck it up, buttercup. It's a part of the process. Don't get hasty. And I just love this message because it's so true. I've seen so many girls, or guys too, who say they want to make money, they want to get rich, they want to become financially free, but they give up after 2 weeks of not seeing results. The people that you see online who are making a ton of money, even me, for example, right, have gone through such long periods of time where they didn't see a single result. They went through months on months of failure after failure. They have had bad brand deals. They've had people who've screwed them over. They've lost tons of money. It's a part of the process. You need to get used to it. You need to stop being so needy in the sense where it's like, oh, like I deserve to make this money right now. I deserve to be rich right now. I deserve to see all of my results compound after 1 month of trying. You don't deserve it, because if you did deserve it, you'd be seeing results that reflected that. The best thing you could possibly do when you first start your online money journey is get through the period of you sucking as quick as possible, because everybody has to get through it. So just get through it and keep your chin up, right? Like don't sit there and feel bad for yourself for not seeing results. Just embrace it. Embrace the trenches. You're going to be there for a bit. Might as well get used to it and make the best you can. You've got to get through that first month of not even knowing how to edit a TikTok right, or the first few months of you posting them and getting no views. It is a part of the process. Suck it up, buttercup. You're going to be there for a bit, but it's going to work out if you want it to work out. Now back to the story, talking about 2024, this is where my life actually starts to change. Like I start to actually make good money. Okay. January of 2024, I learned about TikTok Shop. It's really new at the time. Not that many people are doing it, and very few people are talking about them making money from it online. It's super niche. I decided to start doing it, but also simultaneously, I hit my biggest month ever, which was 7.2K from UGC, from organic marketing, from TikTok, not TikTok Shop yet, from creative strategy. But guys, let me tell you, I was working with probably like 5 brands at the time, putting out at least 100 videos a month, if more. I was doing that plus my 9 to 5, and now I was starting TikTok Shop too. There was not a period of time where I stopped working. But from there, I just went on a streak of making consistently good income every single month. Every single month, my TikTok Shop income went up, even though I wasn't really taking it serious. I was more focused on all my clients. But every single month from January to April, I was making at least $5,000 each month, which was crazy because I also had my 9 to 5. So I was making good money. I was so hyped. And then in May, this is where my life changed. I moved into my first apartment. And as I moved into my first apartment, I realized that I was spread way too thin. I was not seeing results that I should be seeing, even though, yes, they're really good. But I was a year and a half into making money online now, and I knew I could be seeing better results. So here comes the pressure. I'd been seeing really good results on TikTok Shop up until this point, even though I wasn't taking it seriously whatsoever. So I decided I needed to pick. I was either going to go all in on UGC or I was going to go all in on TikTok Shop. I did not want to do UGC. I was spreading myself so thin with that. I had about 5 to 7 clients on retainer at a time. It was the only way for me to make really good money. And I just knew long term that was not scalable. This was also around the same period I met Sophie, which is my best friend. And she had told me that she had just hit her first 10K month off TikTok Shop. So I was like, okay, this is my sign. So in May of 2024, I moved into my first apartment. At the end of May, I turned 19 years old, and that month I made $500 because I quit every single client that I had to go all in on TikTok Shop. If you can't sense a pattern here, I'll point it out. I am addicted to pressure. It makes me motivated, it makes me thrive, it makes me take my goals seriously and act with urgency. And I know that every single time I evoke a different sense of pressure into my life, it helps me get closer to a breakthrough. And so in May, I quit all of my clients, and for the next 30 days, I took TikTok Shop beyond serious. I started posting twice a day on 2 accounts, I'm pretty sure, 2 accounts, and I was just posting so much. I was researching so much. I was in the trenches, taking it so seriously. I'd also switched to night shifts at my call center job. So I was working there until midnight every single night, and I'd sit there and I'd edit my TikToks and I'd post them. And I was just about it. And I'm so glad I was, because the next month I hit my first $20,000 profit month, which is freaking insane. I made $15,000 off TikTok Shop, and then $5,000 from other like retainers and stuff like that. My life changed. Like, my life actually changed. I'd never seen that much money in a month in my life, let alone from one income stream. The rest of the time I made money, it had been from multiple clients and multiple income streams that were burning me the freak out. This was just one. It was one TikTok Shop page. It was one product that blew up for me and made me $15,000. Sorry, I'm freezing. It's snowing here, but if you thought this is where the story got good and just infinitely better, no. That same month, the product that had made me $15,000 went out of stock, and it went out of stock for the next month. So I was back at square one with $0 of commission, with no other income streams, and I had to figure something else out. To give some context, I'd been trying to blow up a different brand on TikTok Shop for the past like 2 to 3 months now. I'd been posting for them since April, and it's now July, and I had not gotten anything to work. So for the next 2 weeks, July 1st starts, I'm taking this product so seriously. Like, I'm trying my hardest to blow it up because nothing else has worked. And the first day I get a new account, I create a new video for this product featuring a completely different angle. I try something super new. Overnight, the video blows up. 6 million views, hundreds of thousands of likes, and it made me $20,000. And I was like, what? And this is where I think my life truly started to change, because I started to realize that the income I was making was not luck. It was not based on just things luckily piecing together and happening, but it was because of my skill. It was becoming consistent things that consistently worked, patterns that I was seeing repeated. And I just made $20,000 in a month again. So from August to December, I just fully focused on TikTok Shop. And this was the year I made my first 6 figures, which was insane. Like, looking back, in the moment, I didn't realize how crazy that was. But looking back, 19 years old, making 6 figures. Yes, there's more to be done. Yes, you see other people online making millions at 19, whatever. I was just so proud of myself, because this is something I'd been working towards for now 2 years. To go from making 13K my first year to 6 figures was an insane jump. I was at that point in my life where I started to live in a different reality. And this is a canon event for when you start making money online, you start making good money, right? I'm traveling, I'm buying myself nicer things, I'm buying only high quality, good food. I have financial freedom. I was 19 years old, living alone in my apartment. I had just gotten 2 cats. I was just doing whatever I wanted to, and it felt so good. And it wasn't about the material, it was about the fact that I had a goal and I made it work. Because unfortunately, you see it online, you see it just in general. Most people have goals, they have these vision boards, but they never actually strive to make them happen. I was the person who had a goal and I made it happen, and I knew that I could be a woman of my word with everything that I said. And that is the coolest thing to feel in the entire world. To skip ahead to 2025, I'm still doubling down on TikTok Shop, still doing consistent 10K to 20K months. I'm now traveling. I traveled for a month to Texas, and then in April, I hit my biggest month on TikTok Shop, which was $45,000 in profit at 19 years old. I'm not saying this to flex. Like, I'm not saying this because like I feel like the best person in the world for making this money, but to put it through your mind, if you're watching this as someone who's not made money yet, what is possible, how things can compound so quickly, and how the things that you're doing today that might feel little, that might not feel super needle moving, can lead to you living a completely different life in 1 year, in 1 freaking year. The next month, I turned 20 years old, and it was a full circle moment because the year before, I had just quit all of my clients. I made $500 in a month. I didn't really know what was going to happen or what to expect, but I had this unwavering faith in myself and God, and knowing that something was going to work if I made that the only option, right? And it did work, because a full year later, I was living a completely different life because of the risks that I was willing to take. I wrote down today that the secret to getting everything you want out of life is a sequence of small changes compounding. And I don't think there's any better way to summarize how I was able to become financially free at a young age, or how I achieved these goals, or how anybody else achieves their goals, than this, right? My camera fully died as I was trying to give a resolution to that statement, but what I was trying to finish with is that the key to success is just a series of micro changes in your life compounding, and you waiting around long enough to see them in effect. It's not that one day you become incredibly lucky and your life changes in a blink. It's these little changes and choices that you're making day by day that start to compound, and you won't notice how much your life is changing until in hindsight you look back and realize how interconnected every single one of these choices were. If it wasn't for me randomly stumbling upon UGC and deciding to take it serious, I would have never made my first $100 online. If it wasn't for me making my first $100 through UGC, I would have never made my first $100 through creative strategy, because they go hand in hand. If I never started organic marketing, I would have never gotten introduced to TikTok Shop. If I never started TikTok Shop, I would have never quit the other side hustles that were draining me and keeping me from doubling down on one thing and getting really good at it. If I never quit those side hustles, I never would have hit my first 10K month on TikTok Shop. If I never hit my first 10K month on TikTok Shop, I wouldn't be in the place I am now, where I'm able to mentor other girls and help them make tens of thousands of dollars online. Every single choice that you're making in your life is interconnected. If you're not in the place that you want to be right now, it's because of choices that you've made in the past that have led you there. If you want to be in a better place and you want to live a better life, your dream life is dependent on the choices that you're making now. So my journey to success was quite simple, really, right? I was just making choices that other people are not willing to make. I was failing at different things that most people would never get exposed to, and because of those failures, I was led to things that I'm good at, and I started to succeed. I'm not special. I didn't have any help. I was just willing to make tiny changes in my life, and I was even more willing to wait out to see how those changes changed my life. I know I talked a lot in this YouTube videos all over the place, and I probably left you with a ton of open tabs in your brain, but I hope this gives you a little bit more insight as to my journey, even on a micro level. If you could just understand my mindset a little bit better, if you could understand my story a little bit better, then I've done my job with this, and I will be making more. And genuinely, thank you so much for watching. Not to be one of those cringe YouTubers, but if there are any other topics that you'd like me to discuss, or videos you'd like me to make, comment them down below, because I'd love to make more videos like this and get better at creating long form content.